Welcome. Yeah. And thank you for joining me. I know all of us get inundated with offers these days of everything that's supposed to be new and different and exciting. So I really appreciate that you're taking your time this hour to learn a little bit about wholeness work. Um, and I am going to have to confirm that my language is English. Sorry about that. Zoom suddenly gives me this thing. I have to tell them what language I'm talking in. Okay, so, and I am going to turn on my screen share at the beginning here. And I want you to know that if you'd like to see the people, me and whoever else might be talking a little bigger, you can slide the window for the keynote slides. You can slide that over to the left and make it much smaller if you want to, or you can keep it over to the right and have the slides bigger. That's totally up to you. Okay, so again, welcome. And what the next hour is all about is the wholeness work. And I'm in this introduction, we'll cover quite a bit of territory. But before we even go there, I want you to know that the wholeness work is something that has radically transformed my own life personally. This isn't just something that I'm sharing with other people, for other reasons. I'm sharing it because it's made a huge difference to me personally in my life. And it's also made a huge difference in how I work with clients and what I'm able to offer clients. So let's go there. What's our agenda today? We're going to talk about how this new approach came about, the practical benefits. That's so important, and there are lots of them. We'll do a simple exploration. I'm going to guide you through the first steps of this process, and we will talk about why it works, the principles, and how you can use it as a professional, coach, therapist, in your work life, in your personal life, your personal development. If there's time, and I think there will be, I'm going to do a demonstration of a more complete version of wholeness work. And we'll talk about the benefits you'll go home with after a training. And we'll give you a glimpse of the training in Amsterdam, which is coming up in June. Okay, but first, about you. I'd like to learn a little bit about you. Some of you, I believe, are here because of your interest in your own personal growth. Some of you are primarily interested for your work life as a therapist or coach, or a manager. And some of you are interested in all of the above. And some of you might be primarily interested in a path to awakening. And I am going to just turn on now a quick poll for you. If I can figure out oh, here we go. Now, you should have a poll window popping up in your screen that asks you this to click on why you're here, what brings you here, what are your interests, are you interested in, and you can click all of them, one of them, pick whatever resonates with you. And I'll give you a couple moments to read each option. And yeah, so this will help me understand who's here. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll, and I hope I understand. Oh, and share the results. Okay, now you can all see that the results. So 54% of you, about half of you, are interested in the benefits in your work life. About 2/3 want a method that can help you as a coach or a therapist. And the same number want practical benefits in your own personal life. And about half of you are interested in awakening. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, that gives me, so we have a range of what people are here for. Now, the good news is that wholeness work can do all of these things. And that might be difficult to imagine. How could one method work for so many different things? But it does. And in this hour, after the hour is over, I hope that you have a sense of how that is true and might work for you. Okay, because and let's start with some of the typical practical benefits that people experience through wholeness work. This dissolving stress. Who doesn't feel stress from time to time? You know, it's an amazingly effective method at dissolving stress. A lot of methods claim to dissolve stress or intend to, and wholeness work is an amazingly simple, straightforward, fast, and deep way of doing it. Um, improving relationships. We'll get more into that too. It's a great way to transform emotional hot buttons. And I've had many people tell me how their relationships started really improving after doing this work. Healing emotional issues. Just to back to improving relationships, this is really important for me personally in this way too. It made a big difference in my relationship with my husband and other family and work relationships. Anytime something would be stressing me out a little bit, I would use this method, and it helped me get really clean clarity, to be able to connect with people from a deeper place of truth and authenticity. So, healing emotional issues, we go to that now. Many people have told me, you know, I worked with this with other methods. It got partly healed, and then I did wholeness work, and now it feels like it's all the way healed. Sleeping better. This is one of the most common results we have with wholeness work. And who doesn't love that, right? More creativity, more clarity of thought, easier problem solving ability, and even benefits with many physical complaints. Many people have talked, I'll say more about that later if we have time. Okay, so let's go to how did wholeness work come about? Um, it, it, it started through a physical crisis for me personally. Um, this happened at a time in my life when I think many of you know my background, some of you don't. Um, I was an NLP trainer, author, writer, and my career was going really well. My husband and I have written books. A lot of people came to Colorado here to train with us from around the world. Um, so things were going well for me professionally, but on the personal level, um, things started falling apart. So, I've had many other professional people tell me this kind of story, actually, where they've said, you know, things are going great for me in my work life, but I'm feeling like personally, I'm not as together as I appear to other people. Anyway, for me, when this physical crisis happened, um, I couldn't function anymore. I literally could not function. On a physical level, I thought I was dying. I had such strange, bizarre symptoms. I didn't know what was happening, but the most bizarre was that it felt like there was this constant stream of electricity going up my central column, and it felt as if maybe I was wired for 120 current, but this was 4 to 10 times that amount. It was definitely way more than I was wired for. And it was so strong. I couldn't think, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do much of anything. And I had the thought that I thought this was probably so intense, my body wasn't likely to be able to survive this. So that became the catalyst. I began a search. I knew I needed something deeper than anything I knew so far. So I had a background in clinical psychology and background in NLP, many personal growth methods, but I knew that nothing that I was aware of could help me. The doctors couldn't help me. The doctors didn't know what was going on. So what was I to do? And I began a search for something different, and that's what ultimately led the wholeness work. So it started with me really letting go of everything that I thought I knew, all the ways that I already knew to help other people, to help myself, of just letting go of that and opening myself to something else. I didn't know what it might be, but I just hoped it might keep me alive. And one of the first areas that I started exploring in was the area of spirituality, because I already had background in psychology and personal growth in NLP, but I hadn't really explored spirituality. And I thought perhaps there's wisdom here that could help me. It's worth a try. So I began to read all the accounts that I could get my hands on about people describing awakening experiences. And so I was especially interested in experiences of awakening rather than concepts. And I was interested that people were describing a shift of consciousness where it seemed like they shifted out of any kind of worry and stress into this experience of profound well-being. And if I understood it right, it seemed like kind of profound well-being where um, it became easier to move through life as well. It wasn't just blissing out and going into some deep meditation state and being removed from the world, but the accounts that were especially interesting to me describe, okay, there's this shift in consciousness and the person can move through the world more easily. They're not nervous about anything. There's a sense of well-being. And I thought, I want this. This sounds good. I didn't know, I wasn't signing up necessarily for any belief system, but I thought if it's possible for me to have this kind of experience, I'm on board. I'd like to have this. And that's what led to the wholeness work. Now, there are two inspirations for the wholeness work that I'd like to acknowledge before we get into doing the exercise. One is an experience I had with Milton Erickson. And this actually happened quite a few years earlier, the last year of Erickson's life. Those of you who are familiar with Dr. Erickson, he's often considered the foremost hypnotherapist. He was an incredible therapist. And people would send their impossible cases to Erickson, and he would often find some way of providing healing. So I had the good fortune of being able to spend a week in a small group of a teaching seminar with Dr. Erickson in the last year of his life. And during this time, I had a profound personal experience as well that changed the course of my life, both personally and professionally. And looking back on it later, I realized this was what we could call a first glimpse of awakening. I'm not going to tell you all the details now because I want to save time for the experience itself. And I've written about this in other places. But basically, this experience, and Erickson didn't describe it as awakening. He didn't talk about it as spiritual, and he never spoke about his changes in those terms. It was just being able to live life better, So, but what happened for me is I was sitting there in a small circle of like the 12 of us, or 10 or 12 that were there with Erickson. And all of a sudden, it was like something happened where I felt like I was a completely different person. And I had no idea how this happened. I'd never felt this way before in my life. It was an experience of complete well-being. It was, any kind of, just a complete well-being, a complete peace, this kind of knowingness that everything would be fine. Everything is fine. Everything will be fine. It couldn't be otherwise. And I stayed in this state of consciousness, this shift of consciousness, for a few weeks after that experience with Erickson. And during that time, it was like decisions made themselves for me, difficult decisions that I had to make. I was deciding whether or not to get married to my then boyfriend, who ended up becoming my husband. It was an agonizing decision before that, but in this state of consciousness, it was easy. It was clear what the path forward was for me. And I made it without emotional baggage. It felt clean. So that was that first glimpse. But the problem was it started unraveling. It didn't last. So when it didn't last, I was so disappointed. Well, I was in this shifted state of consciousness. It felt like, whoa, this is the truth of things. How could I ever feel anxious again? That just didn't seem like, how could I even get there? Didn't seem real. But as it started unraveling, the more typical anxieties, concerns, emotional reactivities, they came back for me. And but that glimpse affected me. I had a knowing of what was possible. So the other inspiration I want to acknowledge is we could call it the Who Am I Teaching of the Indian sage Ramana Maharshi. And I'm not going to say more about it now, again, so that we have time for the experience. But that was the other key influence for me. So now, and I think you'll understand how it was an influence after we've done the exercise a little bit more easily than before. Okay, so as I was exploring in the spiritual area, a key spiritual teaching stood out to me, and that is that awakening happens through letting go of the ego. Yeah, that's familiar, right? Anybody who's explored spirituality, Eastern spirituality, has encountered that teaching, right? Yeah, I see that for many of you, you're raising your hands. Yeah. So I began to think about that and think about what might that mean? How could this happen? What is the ego anyway? And so that was the first question. What is the ego? And that leads us to an exploration. When I asked myself the question, what's the ego? The first answer that came to me is, well, it's the I. The easiest answer is it's the I. But that still doesn't get us any closer to an answer in our experience. I went to lots of spiritual groups. I sat in satsangs. I sat in, which just means a meeting of truth seekers. And I sat with many spiritual teachers. I listened to many discussions about what was the ego and how could one let go of it. But these were all more conceptual, they were nice ideas. But I was thinking, because of my NLP background, I suppose, I was trained to find things in experience, that we're not going to be able to change something unless we can find it in experience. If we just have a concept of it, that's not going to get us very far. So if we want to really change this, the ego in any way, we need to find it in our experience. So that's what this next exercise is going to be all about. So are you ready? I hope so. And I'm going to stop the screen share now. And let's see, I think that stopped the screen share. Yeah, okay, there we go. Now I see you all back here. Great. And great. Now it's easier for me to see all of you without the screen share. I like it better that way. Okay, so are you ready to do a little exploration? So, okay, fantastic. If you all just take a moment to get comfortable in whatever chair, lying down, whatever your position is, find a comfortable position, adjust your body perhaps a little bit, and then take a moment with eyes either opened or closed. And for most people, it's a little easier with eyes closed, but you can do it either way. If you just let your eyes close, there can just sense through the body, notice any body sensation. So you might notice something in your belly, like I right now can notice a little bit of a sensation right at the front of my abdomen. And you can notice whatever you notice. It doesn't have to, it can be positive, it can be negative, it can be neutral, just any sensation anywhere in the body. It might be in the torso somewhere. It could be a sensation in the neck or in the head, or even in the shoulders or arms or hips or legs or feet. It can be anywhere. And you all got that. You notice some body sensation. It could be a tingling in the back of the ribs. It could be a feeling of pressure or vibratiness in the forehead. It could be a sense of pressure in the neck. It really can be anything. And so notice whatever sensation comes to you. Excuse me. And if you notice more than one sensation, that's fine. Just pick one of them to use for this exploration. It doesn't matter which, just pick one that you'll use for this exploration. Then take a moment, notice how much space it takes up. Notice the size and shape of the space it takes up. So for me, I'm noticing this place in front of my abdomen. It's like it's like an oblong sort of oval shape is the space that it takes up. For me, there isn't any distinct edge or border, but it's kind of oval shaped. So notice how it is for you, just whatever sensation, where it is, the size and shape. And then I'm going to ask you a little bit different kind of question. That is, sensing in and through the space of this, what's the sensation quality in and through the space of this? So for me, when I sense in and through the space of this sort of oval shaped thing, it's as if, I don't know, the word floppy comes to mind. It feels a little floppy. It feels a slight heaviness or weightiness. But for you, it could be a sense of tingliness, a sense of lightness, airiness, or denseness or heaviness. There could be a sense of warmth, of coolness. It could be a sense of vibratiness. It might be a sense of stillness, a sense of rawness or sharpness or roughness or smoothness. It could be anything. And it's not that you don't need to like go through a list and go, is it this or this? It's more as if you just sense it and what's the description? It's like if you had a bowl of pudding on the table and you put your fingers in, okay, what's the sensation? Does it feel sticky? Does it feel, what's the sensation? So, and I'd like to invite, if a few of you would like to put into chat, or if any of you would like to put into chat what the sensation quality for you, you can do that. Just put a quick typing into chat of what you're noticing. And you don't have to, but if you'd like to, you can do that. Okay, somebody says a doughy feeling, a tightness, hot. Okay, something feeling hard. Great, excellent. So these are all good example. Sense of pressure. And when it's something like pressure, we can notice, okay, does it feel like this pressure? Does it feel like a pulling in or a pushing out? It's usually one or the others of those. Like often pressure is shorthand for something that's trying to move in a certain direction, moving out, moving in. So we can just notice this subtlety if it's easy. Somebody else says vibrating. Yeah. And the starting question is what's the sensation that you've noticed in your body? And what is the sensation quality? Yeah. And okay. And if you're joining late and didn't catch the question, you can always watch the whole video later. It's going to be recorded. Okay, beautiful. Lots of you are already finding your own answer. That's perfect. So now, if you all take the sensation you noticed, again, you notice where it is in your body, and right at this moment, you can attend to the sensation quality, whether it's hot, vibrating, weighty, airy, whatever, motion, still, sensing it right now. You could think the thought to yourself or say to yourself, and it would be true. I am aware of this sensation. Am I right? That's a true thought, right? You can think, I am aware of this sensation. For me, I am aware of this sensation here in my abdomen. And now we're going to ask something a little unusual. When you notice that sensation in the body and you think this thought, I am aware of this sensation, where's the I located? Where is the I that's aware of the sensation? And just notice what location, without thought, just notice what location emerges into awareness for you. So if you're not sure, go back to the sensation again. Okay, here's the sensation. I am aware of this sensation. So where's the I that notices? Where's the eye that's aware of the sensation? And then just notice what location comes into awareness for you. And sometimes it's just a sense of space, just the location. There might not be anything that's visible, so to speak, in the location, but it's usually easy to find a location when we just ask that question, where's the eye that notices? So, and now I'm going to invite you to put into chat, if you've noticed the location for this, to type that into chat also. So if you're not sure, you can check again. Okay, I'm going to notice the sensation. Oh, a prickliness in the back of my neck. I am aware of the sensation. So where's the eye that notices? Okay, now for me, what I'm getting is it's like there's a cloud thing right in front of my forehead. That's what just pops up for me right now in this moment. It's like this cloudy area. It doesn't look like a cloud, but it's more shaped like a cloud. It's invisible, but it's right in front of my forehead. That's what comes up for me. So just notice what comes up for you. And if you'd like to, you can type it into to chat. One person says, okay, and guys, outside the shape sensation. Yeah. So, and just notice where, yeah. And if it's Richard, you mentioned it's outside the shape of the sensation, and just notice which side is it? Is it on top? Is it in front, behind? So it's right outside of that, and just notice where it is. Helen says it's a ball between my nose and eyes. Beautiful, perfect. And somebody else says across the shoulders, front and back, and somebody else behind the eyes. Yeah. So the message is it can be located anywhere. Sometimes it's in the head, somewhere. Sometimes it's in the body somewhere. It might be outside the head or body, like mine is out in front of my forehead. So whatever you find is fine. And it's important to realize that there's no better or worse answer. There's not a right or wrong answer, and there's not a better or worse answer. That whatever happens for you is valuable and is important. And Deepa, is there something you want to say?
Connirae, one of our participants, Edo, mentions that the I is my consciousness, not located in the body. So would you like to say something about that?
Okay. Yes, yes. Okay. So when somebody says, oh, it's my consciousness, it's not located in the body, the first question is, okay, where is it located? Is it in front of the body? Is it above the body? Is it all around the body? Is it a consciousness that's enveloping the body, all around the body? We just take a little time to notice where it actually is in space. And I've had people say sometimes, oh, it's like it's enveloping my whole body. It's all around me. And I've had some people say, oh, it's like it's light years away in another galaxy. I've had people say it's 2 feet above my head. It really can be literally anywhere. So Ursula, you have your hand up.
Connirae, would you also like to say something about sensation qualities like liquid or spongy?
Yes, yes, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Ursula. Okay, so now that you've all, hopefully most of you have found an eye. And by the way, I acknowledge we're going through this kind of quickly. In the trainings, we take more time, and we take time to bring in questions, and especially if someone says, I can't find it, I can't, it's not working for me. That's a really useful, it's usually instructive for the whole group, and we explore that because there are ways to find it so that it's possible for everyone to find it, usually quite easily. So, okay, so now we get to the sensation quality. So noticing where the eye is located for you, whether it's in the head somewhere, start by noticing how much space it takes up, the size and shape. There might not be any definite borders, but there will generally be a sense of, oh, it's really little, or it's kind of medium sized, or it's quite large. It takes up a lot of space, perhaps. For me, it's like what came up now is it's kind of like this fluff, this sort of cloudy shape without specific borders that's in front of my head. So notice the size and shape for you. And then the next step is to sensing in and through the space of this, wherever it is, what's the sensation quality here in the area of the eye? What's the sensation quality? And by this, I mean, it might be airy, just a sense of open space even. It might be a sense of denseness or heaviness. There might be a sense of vibratiness. There could be a sense of stillness, could be warmth, could be coolness, smoothness, roughness, fizziness or bubbliness. It could be really anything. And when you've noticed the sensation quality for you, if you would like to, you're welcome to type that in also into chat, to type the sensation quality that you notice. So for me right now, there's a sense of it's sort of airy, but it's also a bit gray. It's almost as if there's a grayness to it, and stillness. That's what comes up for me in this moment. So you can just notice what comes up for you. And again, there is no right or wrong answer. There's not even a better or worse answer. Except that the best answer is whatever is true for you. And all of these end up being positive as we go farther in the exploration. Okay, so somebody is saying foggy and light. Somebody says, let's see what else we have here. Okay, a warm power, like a stone, so quite dense. Transparent, someone says, heavy, like a velvety cloak. So we have lots of different answers, and this just is it's useful in that we get a sense that this is different for every person. Each of us is unique, and having an effective and transformative experience, it requires us noticing how it is for us, noticing the uniqueness that this is appearing, that this is emerging for us. Okay, beautiful. This is lovely. So now we're going to go a little bit farther. And again, if at any point the exercise becomes difficult, just do your best, go along, role play, you can even guess or make it up, that's fine, and just find out what happens. And then we can always go back through again. You can watch the video to go through again, and in the trainings, of course, we take more time to make sure each person can really experience it well. Okay, so now let's go back to that sentence. I am aware of this sensation, right? So far, we have found the sensation, the body experience. We found that in experience. We know where it's located. We know its sensation quality. Then we found the eye, and we know where that's located. We know its sensation quality. So we know both the experience and the eye in experience. And now let's explore that middle word, awareness. We don't know what that is yet. I am aware of this sensation. Let's take a little time to explore the word awareness. What is that? And as I began teaching this to others, lots of people use the word awareness. If you have a background in meditation, you probably are familiar with that word. But what I started recognizing, what I started noticing when I guided other people in this process is that even people who've meditated decades, oftentimes they had very different and unique experiences of what awareness is. And so I find it useful to guide everyone in a simple way to experience awareness, the way that I'm using that word and the way that works for this process. Okay? Yep, for that. So, and the way I'm using it for this process is, awareness is this capacity to experience. It's the capacity to notice. But let's explore what that is actually. It's easy to check that awareness, it's really easy to recognize that awareness is present through the space of our physical body, right? Right now, awareness is already present through the space of our physical body. You wouldn't have been able to find the body sensation at the beginning of this exercise if awareness wasn't already through the body. And if something was to bump you on the knee or on the shoulder, it's not like you would have to send awareness there. It's not like you have to go, okay, maybe something is touching me. Maybe I should send my awareness over there. if something bumps you, there's just an easy automatic noticing of it because awareness is already present through the space of the body. So you might pause to just experience that now, how awareness is present through the entire physical body. And if we check, we can also recognize that awareness is also present in the space all around us. And we can test this because if there's a sound to the left, if somebody calls my name to the left, Connirae, calls your name to the left, there's an automatic, easy receiving of the sound, right? And if someone calls your name from the right, there's an automatic, easy receiving of the sound, right? And if somebody calls your name from the front, same thing, or from the back, there's this automatic, easy receiving of the sound. Again, it's not like you have to send awareness out to get the sound. There's just the sound happens, someone calls your name, and there's this automatic receiving of the sound. So it's as if we can experience that awareness, this capacity to notice, this capacity to experience is already in the space all around us in every direction all at once, right? And in our experience, we can't really find an edge or border to this experience of space. It's not like I might know mentally that if someone calls my name from the other side of the earth or even 500 miles away, I probably am not going to hear that. I might know that in my mind, but in my experience, in my subjective experience, I can't find any place where there's a border where I can say, okay, if the sound happens on this side of the line, I won't hear it. If it's on this side of the line, I will. We can't find any edge or border to this experience of space, this experience of awareness that's in every direction at once. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, okay. So this is how I'm using the word awareness, is this experience, this capacity to notice that's already through the body and through the space all around in every direction simultaneously. And you can take a moment to just experience that right now, this experience of space through the body and all around in every direction. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, and now we're going to return to the eye that we found a moment ago. Wherever it's located, notice again that the eye that you found. So for me, it's out here in front of my head. Sensing in and through, notice the sensation quality. And then we're going to do an experiment. So noticing the sensation of the eye, notice what happens when the sensation of the eye is invited to open and relax in and as the fullness of awareness that is all around and throughout. And there's no need to understand that question or do anything. It's an invitation, and then you just notice what happens. So again, sensing the sensation of the eye, notice what happens when the sensation of the eye is invited to open and relax, melt, dissolve in and as the fullness of awareness that is all around and throughout. And there can just be a letting go to whatever happens, an allowing of whatever happens. And you can just stay with that as long as until things settle. Stay with that and let things happen until they settle. And even as I continue talking, if things are still continuing to happen, you can stay with your experience and let it continue to settle. Yeah. And if things have already settled, then you're welcome to share in the chat if you would like for what happened for you. When you invited the sensation of the eye to dissolve and melt in and as the fullness of awareness, what happened for you? What was your experience? So for me, it goes differently. It's time. For me, this time it was as if what was a sort of gray cloud in this area, it was like as if it sort of expanded and became more invisible and more light, and it went from gray to a kind of a warm color, and then just space. And it's sort of like it's in all directions at once. And as that happens for me, I feel a pleasant, subtle kind of relaxing happening through the core of my body. So you can say what happens for you. And I want you to know that there's no wrong way to do it. For some of you, probably nothing happened. So, and that's fine. It always tells us something when nothing happens. For some of you, something happened, but maybe it was so subtle, it's hard to even describe. And for some of you, may have been sometimes even the first time people try this, they experience something quite powerful and quite radically. It can be a quite powerful, radical shift sometimes. But I want to add that it's not better or worse. It happens in whatever way is the right way for you. For me personally, the first time I tried this, the shift was very, very subtle. It was the subtle relaxation. It was so subtle, though, I wasn't sure at first I was on the right track. And it took me exploring it with it more over time to come to the conclusion, the sense that, each time I do this, it's cumulative. The results are cumulative. It started to become the results started to become stronger. But for me, that happened very gradually over time. And I've since learned how to make it easier for people than it was for me. And having a sense of where it's going, I think does make it easier. Okay. Yeah, this. So somebody said, tight surrounding dissolves into spaciousness, feels peaceful and warm. Beautiful. And somebody else says, relaxing feeling into the lightened up space, ease. Everything slowed down and I relaxed. So these are some of what people are sharing. It dissolved into space. I breathed out and more down to earth. Okay, lovely, lovely. A blooming flower with light in the center that brought a sense of peace and warmth. And there are many, many more lovely examples that people are sharing here on chat. And the chat will be a part of the recording, I believe. So I believe that you'll be able to review these later in chat if you would like to. And but for a time, I think you get the idea. You understand how this goes. And the most the most universal reaction is that people feel more relaxed. But it tends to be a deeper relaxation than muscle relaxation, because we're relaxing this, what I call the unconscious structure of the psyche. We are relaxing the source. So when we tense in the body, so I can tense my fist, I can tense my body, we can on purpose relax our muscles. But when at the end of the day, we end up with muscle tension, it's oftentimes we can sit and relax our muscles, but what if we could relax that thing that created the tension in the first place? That's what we're doing when we find the eyes and invite them to open and relax and dissolve into awareness. The eyes turn out to be the container. It's a universal structure of the unconscious, is how I now talk about this. It's a universal structure of the unconscious that holds suffering, stress in place. And when we get to this source of tension, suffering, dis-ease, unease, then we allow this deep relaxation that tends to reset the nervous system. It tends to clear things for us and just make a lot of things in life go easier. Because as it turns out, these eyes that we're just finding inside, these are the source of limiting beliefs. These are the source of all the ways that we limit ourselves and create stress. So recently I gave a talk about wholeness work, and I called it, the title was Finding Peace Within, Even When There's Not Peace Without. And that's what wholeness work allows us to do, is that we discover that it is possible to experience what can even feel like a quite profound peace within, no matter what is happening in our outside circumstances. And that the more that we come to this experience of peace within, the easier it is for us to act in ways that are helpful for us, for those around us, that are to find solutions, to do things that are in harmony with our deepest intentions, that get useful results in the world, rather than creating more reactivity, more conflict. We end up being a part of the solution in our own lives, but beyond that, for our communities as well. So that's a very quick sense of what we're doing here with Wholeness Work. This, what I just invited you through, this is the first structure of the unconscious. So this is taking me longer than I had thought it would, though. We're 45 minutes into the presentation now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump forward a little bit. And I do want to give time. There are several things, several options here with what we can do with the rest of our time. And I hope that this first exploration gives you a glimpse of Wholeness Work, but I do want you to know it is only a glimpse. There is much more. And I had intended to talk about why this works in terms of baby consciousness. We've already discussed how the I is a contraction of consciousness. What we're doing when we invite the I to open and relax into awareness is we're coming to an experience that is closer to the truth of who we really are. So it turns out that at the unconscious level, when we go to say, I am going to solve a problem, I am going to talk to my partner, the I's that are operating at the unconscious level tend to be a smaller, more limited version of ourselves. It's not our true nature. It's not the wholeness of who we are. So when we invite this I to dissolve into the field of awareness, we begin to experience something closer to the truth of who we are, something closer to our full capacity, our full nervous system. It's no longer a limited place in space. Okay, so yes, we're rediscovering our true nature. So I plan to do a demonstration for you today. I am not sure if we're going to have time. I'm going to, but we might still do a very short version of it. I want to be sure I have time to take a few questions from you and talk to you also about how what we've done so far is just a beginning. Finding the eyes are only the first wholeness, the first structure of the unconscious that it's important to transform. I got on to finding the I through the spiritual teaching about dissolving the ego. But then as I explored this in myself and I was dissolving the eyes, I quickly became aware that that's not all there is, that there are other structures of the unconscious that need to be included and also invited to the party, so to speak, that also need to be acknowledged, recognized, healed, transformed. So yes, the eyes are just the first structure. And if we want to have deep emotional healing and a full embodied awakening, more than that is needed. And that's what we get into the book and in the trainings. Because what's unique about Wholeness Work is that it gives us a how to do what spiritual teachers were talking about. And in a way, it does something a little bit, I hate to say beyond that. That's the word that pops into my mind. It's not like it's better or worse, but it goes beyond the scope of that, because what we're doing is we're starting with the eyes, the ego, we're dissolving that, we're finding a way that really can relax back into the whole of our consciousness. And then we find the other universal structures of the unconscious that hold suffering in place. We also invite a healing of those. So yes, the I is the first experience of limited self. There are more. In the training, that's where we have a journey to systematically notice and heal these structures of the unconscious one by one in a kind, gentle way. We do that. And the result is to experience life as undivided presence. It releases creativity. It really releases our potential, our full potential to be, to live through our full capacities. So there are ways you can use this. But before we get there, I think I'd like to give a little bit of time for questions. If anybody has questions so far that you would like to ask, and then I think what I will do is stay on afterwards and do a demonstration for those who would like to stay 15 extra minutes. Okay, but let me take a few minutes to see if you have a question. Click on the raised hand button. It's under reactions at the bottom of your screen. You'll find a place to click the raised hand, and that will bring you up to the top of the feed here so I can see you have a question. Does anybody have something you would like to ask? So Gert, yeah, you have something.
Yeah, thank you, Connirae. Thank you very much. And the first question which popped up into my mind is about, is it also possible, probably the training is about that also, is how to put it to dissolving your sensation of consciousness into a larger consciousness.
How to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, is that also part of the training, and how is it the same
Yes,
technique?
yes,
And
yes, exactly.
I'm curious, yeah.
Yes, it is a part of the training. It is a part of the training. And for some of you here, that already happened in the exercise today. Maybe if you could hold up your physical hand, if that happened for you, if the I melted and dissolved into the whole field of awareness. But if it did, yeah, I see some of you raising your hand. And if it did not, that means we need to add something else into the process. And I'll show you the next. There are several possibilities for what we need to add. With wholeness work, it's all about doing things the easy way. It's about no force. No force is ever needed. It's never about force getting in the person, you, me, whoever, to fit into the format. It's more about shifting the format to fit you. And yet there are these universal patterns that people have so that it's usually easy to do that. And so in the training, we systematically go through the different ways of adapting the format to fit the uniqueness of each person. And so, yes, we do that. And I'll show you the first answer in the demonstration here today yet.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. And there are many more answers. The full training really keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay, does someone else have a question? Anyone else have a question?
Yes, I do. I couldn't find the hand
Oh, okay. So go ahead.
to wave, so I just give it a try. But is it possible that today or this evening I have the eye in my chest, and tomorrow in the toe, and in a week time above my head? So can it change? It's
Yes.
being there from time to time.
Yes, a great question. And the answer is yes, it can appear anywhere. And today it might be one place, tomorrow it might be another place. What usually happens is that as we do this process, some eyes become permanently dissolved into awareness. It's like each person has more than one eye. Each of us does. That's what we start discovering the more we do this practice. People have many of them. And the more you do the practice, the more of the eyes begin to be dissolved and melted. So it's sort of like one way that we limited ourselves unconsciously. That's now dissolved and melted, but it's not like now we're perfectly, there's still more, so we find another one. And when we do the practice, the people who get the most benefit do this practice as a daily nourishment. It becomes something. It doesn't need to add any more time in your day. It actually makes your day it takes less time than none when you know how to use it, because it ends up giving you more time. So I use this when I'm wanting to rest anyway, and then it's a great way to really get this deep release inside. And then, and I use it at night when I'm on my way to sleep. I'm lying down anyway. I'm not doing anything else. So it's not that I'm taking more time. It's that I'm using my rest time for a deeper, more complete rest. And in addition to rest, it actually transforms the structure. It actually transforms the structure of who I am. So gradually the eyes that appear have changed for me over time. And the way they integrate has changed for me over time. And I've found that gradually I enjoy life more, really is what it comes down to. And I feel like I can be more creative, more productive. Yeah, just lots of benefits like that. Okay, so thanks for asking that question. And does anyone else have a question you would like to ask? So Lech, yeah.
Lech, yeah. Thank you very much. The process is great. I have been using it since I read your first book.
Yes.
And my question is, in your opinion, do those eyes exist already before we locate them, or does our unconscious mind create them in order to locate? I do not know if it makes sense.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Are those structures before we become aware of them, or do they get created by our mind as we look for them?
Got it. I understand, Lech. Yeah. Thank you for that question. Yeah. The process, Lech, is intended to, what we're doing with the wholeness process is we're finding structures that already exist. We are not adding structures. But the truth of it is that each of us starts off being fairly divided in our inner experience. We have these inner divisions, we have these separations, we have this separate sense of I and other structures. And it's just that they've been unconscious, so we haven't been able to find them. And with these questions, we are finding a separation that has already been there, and we're inviting it to dissolve and integrate into the whole. Now, if someone asks me that question, though, it raises the possibility that that person might be actually thinking they need to make something up and adding something extra. And so if you're in a training, what I would do is explore with you a little bit more. We don't have the time today, but I would explore a little bit more about, okay, what happened? Because there is a one who is trying to make it up. And this is another structure that we can find and integrate. Or a one who is trying to figure it out, or a one who is trying to understand it. There's sort of a mental conceptualizing process going on in addition to just asking the simple question. And so what we want to do is meet that also. It's not right or wrong. It's just that when that happens, we want to kindly meet it. So, okay, where's the one who's trying to figure it out? Where's the one who's trying to make sure I'm making it up or not making it up? We find whatever is going on, we include that too. And the training guides us in learning how to do that. It's very important to know how to do that. Okay, so we're almost at the close of our official hour. So what I want to do is go back to my closing slides. And thank you for those who have asked the questions. And I know I could go on another hour easily. I love to share this. I love to talk about it. And in the trainings, when we walk through the experience step by step, I want to say lots of the questions are answered before anyone even asks them. Because somebody recently emailed me and said, I got your online video training, and I started writing down the questions I had. And then, because I was going to email you and ask you, but then before I could email you and ask you, each of these questions one by one, they're addressed in the training. But we tend to, in the training, get answers in our experience rather than just conceptual answers. And those are richer answers. We tend to know these things more viscerally. Okay, so how can you use this? You can use this definitely as a coach or therapist. It's this plus core transformation are my main two go-to methods that I use with my clients. And it's, I love coaching now because I know that I can be of use. I know I can be of service. I know I can assist in a really deep and complete way now that I have Wholeness Work. You can use it in your work life, less stress, easier relationships, lots of ways. At home, you can use it for emotional healing. If there's some emotional issue that hasn't quite resolved, you can use it for that. It's a reliable path for spiritual development also. And I know some of you on this call, that's your primary reason for being here. And I talk a lot about the practical benefits, but in a way, those are just the byproduct of this fundamental shift in consciousness that we start to have when we use this practice. So all of us want our lives to go better. We want less stress. We want to not get emotionally reactive and plugged in. If we can use this with Wholeness Work, it gives us a way that we can use our difficulties as a really doorway. If somebody could mute themselves, please, as a doorway to this shift in consciousness, to an unfolding of our consciousness, where we end up feeling more fully present, more fully full on enjoying life, being able to be present for ourselves with other people. It's this shift in presence that is the big shift. And I think when I read the accounts of awakening now, I recognize that as the same thing. And I've had spiritual teachers tell me the same thing too. They're going, Milton Erickson didn't describe that first glimpse shift I got as awakening, but looking back, I can recognize it as that same thing. It's the shift in consciousness where life flows better. That's how we can talk about it. Okay, so very quick, what happens in the training? It's made to make it really easy for you, for your co-learners, comfortable. The location of the Amsterdam training, it's in the heart of Amsterdam at a lovely hotel there. We will have each day a morning session and an afternoon session, and there will be practical benefits from each session. Each session will include at least one new format that you will learn. And the structure of learning each of these formats, there's always going to be a demonstration with a volunteer, and then you will practice with a partner based on a script. We will give you a script where you can just read it off, make it really easy again. And the staff is there to assist you with any questions right there, support staff. After we have a sharing of experiences and a time to ask questions. And yeah, that's it. So what you'll take home after the training, you will take home, if you choose to join one of the trainings, a series of methods you can use for the rest of your life. And for me, that's it. This has been a series of methods that have helped me continue my development and unfolding now for over a decade, and it keeps going. You'll have a manual to make it easy for you with some scripts, all of what you learn in each training level. You'll have personal connections. That's what's something special about coming to a live training, especially in-person training, like we'll have in Amsterdam. People form personal connections, which is quite lovely. Okay, so I would like to, that's the end of what I have here. Oh, wait a second. Oh, there's a little bit more. I want you to know, here we go. Yeah, I want you to know, my team that's where will want me to make sure I say this, because if you sign up for within 7 days, you will get a new copy of a free copy of the new book. These will be at the training, and I'll be happy to sign them if you like. This is a really good book in my opinion. I'm very happy with it. It took way more work than I ever thought it would, but I'm happy with how it's coming back, because I'm getting emails every day of people who are telling me, I got this book, I started following it, and I'm getting results already in my life. So you'll get a free book if you join in the first 7 days. And you will also get, oh, I think we don't have here on the slide, but if you sign up for all 3 levels, you will also get as a bonus a free video training from I think it's the 2022 training in Germany, a video training of the level 1 as an extra bonus for you. And several examples of the same training are super helpful with this work because it is on one hand very, very simple. And on the other hand, there's subtlety so that if you understand the subtlety in depth, one person said recently, if you do this training, it'll provide everything you need. I thought, oh, that's so lovely. But I find that true in my own life. It provides so much, but there keep being more subtleties, more depth. Okay, if you want to know more about the training and whether it's right for you, there are several ways the team has created that you can learn more. One is you can have a meeting or call with Sonia, and here is the information about that. You can email Judith and Peter. They are from the sponsor team in Amsterdam from IEP. And you can email Wholeness Work Europe. So you have 3 ways. If you want to talk to somebody in person about the training, talk to Sonia. She's a Wholeness Work coach. She knows the training already. And I believe she's planning on joining again in Amsterdam too. Okay. Have I left anything out for the team? Is there anything I've left out that I should be including? Okay, I think we have it all there. Okay, so I am just going to ask the team, the sponsored group, the team, Judith and Peter and Ralph. These are the sponsors for the Amsterdam training. If you would please raise your hand and just say hello. Yeah, Peter's already here. And here's Judith, hello. And here's Ralph. Okay, so we will all be there in Amsterdam along with more of the team. And but this is the sponsor group. Peter and Judith in Amsterdam, and Ralph from the European Wholeness Association. And I hope you all get a chance to meet this lovely team in person and in Amsterdam. Okay, thank you all. And let's now, I'm going to, let's see, now what we can do is, just now, I just want to have an official close and then take the extra time to do a demonstration, which I promised. And so I want to do that. It might not be a complete demonstration, but at least a start for those of you who have a little more time. All right. Okay. So thank you for everyone for your participation, for your presence. And I hope that you, if this intrigues you, I hope you take a chance to learn more. I was meaning to read you several examples of emails I've received recently from people who are really excited. One person it just came in today. He says, I just discovered your Wholeness Work a couple of weeks ago. I've read the first book. I'm reading the second book, and the results are incredible. I had intense anxiety in my work and my role as a father for as long as I can remember. And within one day of doing your work, that all changed. It's been remarkable. So he goes on to say much more detail about it, but it doesn't always happen that fast. But it's amazing to me that sometimes it does. I was one of the more slow, difficult clients. So that means that I also really love working with people where it takes a little more time. It's more gradual. But I think the benefits are reliable. They're dependable. They're essentially universal. Yeah. So thank you for joining. I hope you check it out a little more if this intrigues you. And you're welcome to drop off the call if you have other things to do. And if you'd like to stay, please do, because now I'm going to do the demonstration. Okay, are we ready? So Eva volunteered agreed to do this ahead of time. She's somebody who has experience with Wholeness Work already. So, and I asked her if she would be willing to join to show you all how it can work, to do a little bit more of a complete process. And she kindly agreed. Thank you, Eva. So, and I want you all to know that I'm going to keep this to about 10 or 15 minutes. We might or might not finish, and that is fine. With wholeness work, it is more, there tend to be benefits actually with each step of the way, whether or not we finish. And we'll just find out how it goes. Okay, so Eva, do you have in mind, what I'd like you to do, if you're willing, is pick something from your life, an issue. We'll show, the next format has to do with working with an issue, a life issue. And so if you can think of something medium to mild that's happening now in your life, maybe something somebody does that pushes your buttons a little, but you know, it's not that big of a deal, but it does irritate you, or, you know, can you think of something like that?
Okay. Yeah, it's normally, several times my daughter, she texts me messages, and she needs something. And normally I'm working, or I'm in meeting, or I'm in school, or I do something. And then she make a little bit pressure, Mama, I need it now, and I'm like, I need a time a little bit for this decision, or because I'm doing something another, and then she make pressure, and sometimes I'm like a little bit angry or hurry or nervous,
Okay, perfect, Eva. So so when you think about your daughter asking you for something, if you think about if she were to do this right now, just notice your response, the feeling response, and just tell me what this is and where it's located.
It's inside of my
Okay, so a feeling response in the chest or neck. Okay. So, and I think, I think I'm going to pull over my chartboard, and maybe I will going to make it so you can see my funky chartboard here. Okay, so there's the feeling of in the neck, chest. And now, so now Eva, notice how much space it takes up, is in the size and shape. Is it big? Is it little? Is it sort of a blob?
It's like a little foyer,
Yes, sort of like a blob.
No,
What?
foyer, free. It's burning.
Okay, it's burning.
It's fire.
Fire, yeah.
Yeah.
Fire, yeah,
Fire.
yeah, burning. Okay. All right. Okay. And okay, beautiful. So now, and sensing in and through, there's already the sense of there's fieriness, probably heat. Yes. Is there anything? That's enough, really. That's enough. Just noticing the sensation quality, it's kind of heat, right? Okay. So now we can just notice, okay, sensing here, this heat, you could say, and it'd be true, I am aware of this sensation, right? This heat burning in the chest area. And where is the I that notices?
It's inside of my head.
Okay, good, good. And you notice that Eva is showing nicely with her gestures, so it's inside of her head. Inside. And notice again the size and shape.
It's like a little ellipse.
Yeah, like, okay, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, yes. And I can see that Eva is sensing the size and shape quite nicely. So now we're going to just invite sensing in and through. What's the sensation quality in and through the space of this? Yeah.
It's a little bit cold, and
okay. It's a little bit cold. Okay.
Yeah, it's dark.
And it's dark. Okay. Okay, great, great, great. And now we add something, and this is explained in the book really well. I'm not going to go into the explanation here for all of you, but we're just going to do it because it turns out the eyes tend to be layered. It's not just one eye that holds something in place, but there are multiple eyes holding a problem feeling response in place. So here's how we find them. So Eva, noticing right now, you could say, I am aware of this cold, dark ellipse thing in the head, right? And sensing this, where's the I that notices this, or where's the perceiving of this happening from?
It's a little bit behind me.
Okay. Mhm.
It's like it's round.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like it's round behind me. Okay.
Shoulders. And, yeah. But it's not inside of me, it's behind me.
Yeah, not inside, it's behind. Yeah, got that, got that. Okay, and sensing in and through the space of this, what's the sensation quality here?
It's like water, you know, and it's dropped
It's like
down.
water. Okay, like water. Mhm. Okay, lovely, lovely. Yeah, great, great. And now sensing this that's here behind, this like water, really letting there be a kind sensing of this. Then we ask, and where is the I that notices this? Or where is the perceiving of this happening from?
It's now it's front of me.
Okay, now it's in front. Okay.
Yeah, it's here. It's
Okay. Yes, it's in front. And notice the size and shape. Is it big? Is it small? Is it, and notice how deep it is. Yeah.
not so big. It's like
Yeah.
it's round or no, it's a little bit like an ellipse.
Okay. Great. I like that ellipse. Okay. And sensing this, sensing in and through the space of this, what's the sensation quality here? Again, it might be fuzzy, it could be airy, it could be
Yeah,
light.
it's airy, and it's a blue. It's lightly blue and airy.
And it's kind of lightly blue and airy. Okay. Lightly blue and airy. Okay. And so now we're going to do an experiment, and we're going to check and find out if this eye, if it welcomes being invited to open and melt. So sensing this, it's airy and blue, and you're already aware of this full space of awareness that's everywhere at once, right? That's all around. Yeah. So sensing this here, that's airy blue, this energy here. Yeah, this in front. Check. Does the sensation here welcome being invited to open and relax into the fullness of awareness that's all around and throughout? Yeah, yeah. Okay. And so then that can just be allowed to happen. There can be an allowing of that to happen. Yeah, the sensation here can just dissolve, melt, and that's the full field of awareness that is all around and throughout. Yeah, and there can just be a letting go into the happening of that. Yeah. Yeah, lovely. And what's the experience of that?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like opening and it's away. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's going
Okay.
in the space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And has that had time to settle? Has that had plenty of time to settle? Because when we do this, this is for everyone. When we do this, the shifting, the kind release of limitations, it happens through this invitation. And as this relaxes into awareness, it's not something we need to rush ever. We just invite it to happen how it does. And then, it tends to be a pleasant experience just because it feels like this deep letting go of something that has been wanting to let go. So we just let it take its time, do what it does. And then whenever it settles, then we go on. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Lovely. Lovely. So now we go to the, let's see, that was the first one. So now we go to the one that was behind. We check there. And is that the same as it was before, or is it different now?
I think it's just a space now. I
Okay.
remember it was something there.
So here's what we do. So when the third one dissolved, this is for everybody else, the second one already is mostly integrated just on its own. And so, but what we can do is just invite anything that may be remaining in and through the space, and even the memory, the energy of the memory. This is also kindly, lovingly invited to open, relax, dissolve, melt in and as the full space of awareness that is all around and throughout. And just letting go to the happening of that, however it happens. Yeah, okay, beautiful, beautiful. And so then whenever we're ready, we're going to check in that area inside the head. And how is that now? Is it the same as before, or is it a little different?
Just a little, you know.
Yeah. So it's mostly integrated already, mostly dissolved and melted already. But there's a little something there, and we want to include whatever's there. So the energy of this remaining as it is now, this is also kindly invited to open, relax, dissolve, and melt. And as the full field of awareness that is all around and throughout. And just letting that happen however it does.
Okay. It was gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely, lovely. And now we go back to that place, with the starting place. Yeah. And how is that now? What, that place in the chest area? How is that now? Same, different?
Just little again, and now it's
There's a little something there. Yeah, much smaller, but it's not, there's something there. And so, yeah, we want to include what is there. So sensing that that's littler now, but including all of this that's still there now at the sensation quality level, including the sensation of this. This is also invited to open, relax, dissolve, melt in and as the fullness of awareness that's throughout the body and all around. And just letting go to however that happens automatically on its own. Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay. All right. So, and is there anything you'd like to share about the experience of that?
Yeah, it's
You don't have to, but
it's I don't okay. It's like every time it's so easily, you know, you have a problem and sometimes you think it's so big, or it's like yeah.
yeah.
After the
Yeah.
process you are just
Yeah. So, and you might take a moment to notice being this way with these eyes released into awareness, the original, being this way. What is it like now when you think of your daughter making a text to you?
Maybe I'm just happy that she texts me and it's okay. And
yeah,
like,
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have this reaction, you know, like before.
Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you so much, Eva, for volunteering to go through this and to sharing your experience. Much appreciated. And I hope this gives everyone still on the call an example of how this is the first full format, how we take it into transforming issues. And I would like to just say about this that when we use this method, there's so many teaching points that we could go into here, but the main thing that I'd like, we're finding the easy way rather than try to change a quote problem directly. Instead, we're finding the source of the problem. And we're finding that these unconscious structures of the unconscious that hold the problem in place. And because working with the problem directly, that's the hard way. That's a hard way to do it. But if instead we find where it's the source of the problem, we find the eyes that hold the problem response in place. And in this case, we went to 3 layers. And in the training, we learn about how many layers do you need and why do you stop at a certain place? You know, we go over all this in the training, learn those details. But when we find the nesting of eye structures that hold the problem in place, most of the time, the problem transforms itself considerably on its own. It becomes, and whatever remains is much easier to also include. Does that make sense? And it makes it possible to change things without analyzing them or figuring out what was the, you know, going through a mental process of what were my limiting beliefs? Should I have different ideas about what I need to do as a mother or whatever, you know, that can take a lot of figuring out. But when we find the eyes, we find these are the structures that hold the limiting beliefs in place. And without our even ever needing to identify what they are and what new beliefs we might prefer, you know, the limiting beliefs, the ways we hold ourselves constrained, they naturally dissolve. And we just feel more of a peaceful presence more of the time. So much nicer way to live in the world. And from this place of peaceful presence, we can still set our limits and boundaries the way we want to. You know, it's often, I found it much easier to set limits and boundaries after I started doing this, because I was doing it from a kind place rather than a judgmental place. So the other person could receive it better too. And then an amazing amount of time, though, something that had bugged me, I realized, this doesn't matter. This really doesn't matter. And I would just feel the humor in the whole thing rather than needing to be engaged. Hello again. Just wanted to make a quick announcement about my next training, which will take place live online. If you want to transform stress, improve sleep, and deepen your sense of peace and joy, then join me on November 2nd for an online journey with the Wholeness Work. Find the link to register in the description and reserve your spot now. I hope to see you there.